I'm Frank, and I'm all about helping business owners and entrepreneurs start and grow their lawn care business. Make sure to subscribe, like, and hit the bell button so you're notified of my future videos. Welcome back, Lawn Care Pros. So today we're continuing our conversation with Aaron with Aaron's Lawn Care. So, you mentioned, just looking at like what kind of services you provide, right? Just remind me again. Right. I know you said mowing and you do the mulching and some of the other things. Break that down for us as far as, when you first started, did you start with doing all of those things, or did you start adding things, or did you do more things whenever you first started? And are you starting to cut back on some of the things that you were doing?
I offered a lot of those when I first started. I did offer gumballs to everyone when I first started. They're also called sweet gums. I'm not sure, I know they're common here in the Midwest. I'm not sure how far south they go or how far north they go. They're great shade trees, but they have these little prickly balls
Yes.
that drop, and they're just horrible on a yard. They're everywhere. So I used to offer those to everyone, and I got to the point where I hated it. So now I currently only offer it to clients that I mow for. I did one last year that I did not mow for, but they hired me on to mow. So it was me willing to do it. I have another one I'm doing this year, same thing. Potential to mow. It may not be all year because it may or may not want it, but I'm at least willing to do this one for the potential of having a client. But primarily when I started, I offered all these, but I mainly got lawn care. I didn't get a whole lot of shrub trimming. I definitely did not get very much mulch. Um, and I still to this day I don't get a ton of mulch. It seems like I've not been blessed with those clients that have mulch, or those that do. They're like, I just want it every other year. But I have a lot that do want it, and so I do offer gutter cleaning as well. It comes and goes from year to year. I have some that want it, some that don't. I have some calls specifically for that. Um, as far as the only service I've really taken away is the gumballs. Like I said, I stick to clients only. I've really kind of pushed towards shrub removal, which is another one that I mentioned that I offer. I really didn't offer that at first. Now I offer it more, and so it's something because it's a way to get into certain subdivisions, certain areas of nice homes. Maybe they don't want these shrubs no more, so maybe I ain't lucky enough to get mowing, but hey, I can at least get in the area for, I'm taking shrubs out and I'm in that area. People can see me, and along with postcards, that'll be a benefit as well.
Yeah, that sounds good. And one of the things I think a lot of people struggle with when they're first starting out, and honestly, a lot of people struggle with it even when they've been in business for a long time, is do I do weekly mowings? Do I do bi-weekly mowings? Do I do both? What's your take on that, and how's your business when it comes to that specific thing?
In the ideal world, I'd like to say only do weekly. I think there's areas, across the U.S., the UK, Australia, that weekly works. Um, and I have a buddy in this area that is only offering weekly. I have had I get a lot of calls for biweekly, and so I do offer it. I would say a ratio of weekly to biweekly probably falls in the 70 to 30 range. I do have a lot of weeklies, but I have my fair share of biweeklies. There is a place for them, and there are yards for them too. There are yards that they don't grow week to week. They got a lot of shade, or there's just a lot of weeds, and they don't care that they have a lot of weeds. They just want it mowed, and so the biweekly works for those. Now there's yards that are immaculate, they're treated, or they just have a lot of grass, they don't have weeds, and it needs mowed weekly. Or there's people that just want it mowed weekly. They don't like it getting tall after 2 weeks. Um, but I only offer weekly or biweekly. I've been asked for every 10 days. I've had every 3 weeks mentioned to me, but I don't offer any of that. 3 weeks, my opinion, is just ridiculous in itself. Every 10 days, that might work if you're part time. If you're doing it as a side gig, because it doesn't hurt to change the day up a little bit. But when you're doing it 5 days a week like I am, every 10 days, that just all that does is just throw a kink in the schedule. Let's say you work in 4 towns and they're separated like where I'm at now, I have 4 towns, one to the south, north, or west and north. And so it's about 6 to 7 miles separation, along with a couple other spots. So let's say, like on Thursdays, I'm commonly in a town called West Frankfort, 6 miles north of me. If I had an every 10-day account, what if that every 10-day account was actually, I'm in West Frankfort all day, but that 1 yard is 15, 20 minutes, 20 miles south because I'm in West Frankfort, not down there. So then I got to drive all the way down there. I got to, 15 miles. That's not 15 minutes. When you're driving through towns, that's 25, 30 minutes. And so you got to drive 30 minutes for 1 yard when you was down there yesterday, but they didn't want you to come because it wasn't 10 days. So it messes with a full-time schedule. I keep people, in on their days, even year to year. I've had clients that I've mowed on the same day for 5 years.
Yeah.
I don't mess with it. Don't fix what ain't broke is what the old saying goes.
Mm-hmm.
And it really helps clients out. They like knowing, hey, every Thursday, every Monday, he's here on this day, pending weather emergency or things that just happen. And so weekly I would like to say, and everyone's ideal weekly is gold, but there are situations where biweekly, my opinion, is needed, or it's best because of what the grass situation, what the property calls for.
Sure. And you said you had a 70-30 ratio. Is that 70% biweekly or 70% weekly?
That would be weekly,
Okay, so
yes.
70% weekly, 30% biweekly. Okay. So
Yeah.
in on the biweeklies, do you charge a little bit more? Do you have, is it like 1.5 times? Is it $10 more? How do you charge when it comes to the biweekly compared to the weekly?
Right. I do charge extra. Uh, I like the small yards, like your small 5,000 square feet. My minimum is $40 per week. That's the minimum. Now, actually, this year it's going to be 42 because of gas prices where they're at. I raised everyone 95% of my clients $2, and so per cut. And so those, like if it's 40, like sometimes 42 even seems high for some of those small properties because you're only there 10, 15 minutes max, and that's pushing it for 15 minutes. And so what I do is I charge $10 extra on those small ones. Now we get into your half acre to acre, I charge 15. If I see that it's a more problematic yard where grass grows a lot, or it's a lot of more, the weeding's heavier than it would be, more than just a normal yard, I'll go higher than 15. But I charge anywhere from 10 to 15, higher if need be, depending on the yard itself.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Definitely, you want to charge a little bit more, or 1.5 times more, or $10 more, whatever that number is, based on your business, because obviously there's, a little bit more wear and tear on the equipment as well. That's kind of been my experience anyway.
Yes, there is definitely.
And so, let's say I call you up and I'm a first time customer, and you come out and take a look at my yard, and it's overgrown, right? Maybe it's even knee high, right? So I've got like 20 notices from the city. So finally I said, maybe I should call Aaron. So, and you're the lucky one, right? You're so lucky to come mow my overgrown pasture, right? So
Yeah, the worst.
yeah. So how do you handle a situation like that? Give our um, audience some advice on that.
Well, I can actually put it into perspective because I was called, it was 2020, so it was during COVID. I was called by someone who had been staked by the city they had to have it done within the next 7 days. I was like, all right, I'll come out and look at it. So I showed up, and there was grass. Well, there wasn't much grass. There was a lot of
A
just
lot of
weeds.
weeds.
And I guarantee you there was weeds almost 6 foot tall.
Wow.
Not, and it wasn't thick, it was sparse. There was like 5 trees in this small city lot, and the guy had told me I think the city was going to charge him like $400
Mm.
mow it, and so I looked at him and I told him, I was like, sir, for me to maintain this, to get this back to cut and shape, I'm going to charge you $400 as well. I go, but the only difference between me and what the city is going to offer is mine's going to look better. I was like, I am going to weed eat. I'm going to go over it more than just once, but I'm going to charge you 400. And I think that's where I would say I did wrong. I sold myself way too well. And he's like, all right, well, I'll talk to my dad. I'm like, all right, sweet. He's going to tell me, nah, it's too much. I don't want to pay 400 bucks. And that gentleman texts me back within 30 minutes and goes, all right, let's do it. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, crap. Now I gotta now, and I have if you scroll through my Instagram, you can find it. I did a time lapse video of it. I literally had to weed eat the entire property first. That was so I could see where everything was at. That way I knew where things wasn't. So cause I did not want to put my mower on that property without first checking it. You can walk it, but when the grass is 4 foot, some areas were 6 foot, and it wasn't real thick, but it was a lot of leaves in there. I was like, I just did not want to put my mower, so I weeded it all first, and it changed the way the yard looked. But I charged him 400. Now I don't do that for everyone. There's some I show up and it's like it's overgrown. Well, hey, it's gonna be 30, 40 bucks more for the first time. Or maybe it's only 15 bucks because maybe it's only a couple inches taller, or from the time I bid it, I really looked at it to the time I got to mow it, a week later it grew a little more. It just depends on what the situation is.
Sure.
I do try honestly to avoid city notices, especially because a lot of times city notices the person, and I don't try to be hateful towards nobody, but they let it go for a reason.
Hmm.
They don't care. They can't afford to have someone come and mow. So now they're in desperation looking for something cheaper than what the city can do. And to not be mean, and I know it sounds harsh, but I am more apt to tell them, hey, I'm going to charge you what the city is. Um, Mine's just going to look better. I'm going to put my heart, my soul, I'm going to put all I can into it, but it's still going to be the same price because there's a risk that I'm putting on me and my equipment to mow that yard. So I honestly I try to avoid them, but that's what I would now where I'm at now, where at the years of experience I have, that's the path that I choose. A couple years ago, I'll do it for 40 extra bucks. It's normally a $60 cut. I'll do it for 100 bucks.
Right.
Now, as my experience, my knowledge has grown. No, you really gotta be someone when I talk to you. Like if I can tell, you're under it's a tough time, you know, I'm willing to help. I may not charge, if the city says 300 for me, I'll do it for 200. I'm trying to help you out type thing. But
Sure.
if I get a vibe where it's like, you've let this go intentionally, you don't care, you're just trying to, you don't want to pay the city 300 bucks. Well, it's 300 bucks for me to do it, or I just say no, I don't have time to do that. Because those do take time, and that wear and tear, you could potentially tear a mower up doing that stuff.
Absolutely. And I really love your advice and the way you approached as far as, weeding everything and making sure that you knew what was, underneath all that before putting your mower down. Because, we look at a job like that and we're like, oh, we're going to make 400 bucks, right? And if we make a mistake, right, and we put the mower down before we, find out what's underneath it, and we run over something that, potentially costs us $1,500 with the mower, now we're in a really bad spot, right?
Yeah, now you're $1,100 in the hole instead of making 400 bucks.
Right. And the guy that, that has an overgrown lawn, he's driving away in his Mercedes, right?
Yeah,
So he had the money, he just didn't want to spend it.
exactly, exactly. And that job that I did, that I charged the client 400, it only took me 45 minutes. So you break that down at 15, 15. I think I charged him 300. It was city was 300 because I remember saying it was at 15 minutes, 15-minute intervals. I was making $100 every 15 minutes. It took me 45 minutes, and I didn't have no breakdown. I had no mower issues, so all I had was cost of fuel and time. And so on that, you made well, but not all jobs like that go. Overgrown yards jobs do not turn out like that. You cannot guarantee you're going to have flawless, execution when you do the job.
I'm just curious, did he end up using you on a weekly or biweekly basis, or was that just a one-time cut?
He asked for biweekly. It was a yard that I in the end, you can tell when people are going to be able to afford it, or what they're kind of going through. He kind of creeped me out a little bit too. So I just told him I was full. I mean, there was potentially I could take it on, but I was at that point where it was I'm full, I'm not full, I'm picky where I want. Have been years, and before that I probably would have taken him on, but where I was at now, I did it to help him. I got him where he needed to be. So, and it gave him a couple more weeks, 3, 4 more weeks before he was in desperate need of it being mowed again. So it would end up being just a one-time thing.
Okay, okay. So we've talked about the biweekly, weekly, the overgrown lawns, um, route density. One of the other things I wanted to ask you about is the type of equipment, and when you were first starting out, were you just did you have just a truck? Did you have a trailer? Did you have to buy any kind of special equipment? I know you touched on that a little bit, but I wanted to go into a little bit more detail. And if you had to do it over again, if somebody was just starting out, kind of guide them along and as to, how you did it and how you would do it again.
When I started out, like I said, I did finance a mower. I was blessed to have zero interest for 4 years. So as long as I would have that, I would do that over again. That was not an issue. As far as when it comes to vehicle, I actually had a Chrysler Sebring um, sedan, 4-door car that I had a hitch on already because I was maintaining my church before I even started mowing yards. They had a mower that I was using to mow the yard, and I kept it at my house. So I had a little 5x10 trailer that was originally belonged to my brother, little tilt trailer, and that's what I started off with. I like when I purchased that mower, I bought a 48-inch mower because that's all I could do because of size. I couldn't fit anything else bigger than that. I mean, it was a 5-foot trailer, but I could have fit a 52-inch, but at the time I went with 48. Um, as far as equipment, I did buy a weed eater. I bought a Red Max weed eater, but I went with a Walmart brand backpack blower.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't last but like 6 months before it crapped out. So then I did buy Red Max, all handheld equipment. Um, and it, my opinion, my recommendation, yes, that stuff can be expensive. It's $300 for a weed eater. It's $600, $700 for a backpack blower. I don't know if that prices are still the same because things are going up, but I would recommend it if you can afford it. If you need to go buy a $50 Walmart weed eater and make $300 with it, and then go buy a commercialized weed eater, go that route. If you don't have that $300, do what you can with what you have or what you're able to, but do put everything back into the business that you possibly can. Same for the backpack blower. Save up for the 600 if you can't afford the 600 out the gate. Um, and if you don't want to, there's plenty of mowers, zero turns that are not Skag, Liberty Z that are, I think it was like $5,000, $6,000, I think is what it was. There's plenty of zero turns that are out there cheaper than that. That are you don't have to go with Skag. You don't have to go with you can find a $3,000, $4,000 zero turn mower and get some yards knocked out. I mean, geez, if you want to go with a riding tractor, you're more than welcome to. I know Noe Lawn Care out of North Carolina. He to this day, as far as he runs a riding tractor.
Hmm.
I've not asked him why, and that's something I've been meaning to do. But he does. He runs a riding tractor, and maybe it's because of finances. He just doesn't want to invest in one, a zero turn. But my recommendation, my honest recommendation, I would do it. What I've done, I would do it over again. Is get the best that you possibly can. Because the question I would pose, is it better to buy cheaper equipment and struggle, through a season of, breakdowns, or it just doesn't have the power or the ability to it can handle it, but it struggles, or just if you can afford it, if the finances allow it and you are able to, and those stipulations have to be in place. I'm not telling you to go out there and spend, you know, let's say 6,000 on a mower, let's say another 1,000 to get a weed eater and a blower, and then maybe you have to buy a trailer, so there's another, 1,500 to 3,000 depending on what you get. Do you have a truck? You got to look at that. You got to approach it with the best financial mindset that you can. You can't just go out there and, hey, I want this, 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 and this. It doesn't. It works, but it won't last. That you don't want to bury yourself. And some may look at mine and say I've buried myself, or maybe I've bought things I shouldn't have. But it's all been beneficial for me. It doesn't matter if you're solo, if you're not. If you have a guy, I'm willing to spend money, 300-600 bucks back then on equipment because I was the one using it. I wasn't buying a $300 weed eater and I'm just having a buddy help me, and he don't care how it turns out. So it it depends on the situation, what you're available to do. But what I did, I would do it over again without a heartbeat.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. I think you did it the right way. You uh, basically bought things that you could afford, right? And I love your advice of, if you can't afford it, get the cheap stuff temporarily and go get that money, save up, and then upgrade. So you're not burying yourself. I think that's a really good advice. So moving on to, you've been in business for several years, and here we are. We're going into the season now, and tell me where you see yourself in your business, like this year, 2, 3 years out, and so forth. What are some of your goals, and how do you feel what you need to do to get some of those things accomplished?
Well, where I'm trying to go is I I'm comfortable where I'm at in the lawn care. I'm happy where I'm at. Would I like to have employees? Yes. Will they come? Who knows? It's very possible. I know for me to grow the business, the lawn care business, I need employees. I'm not humanly able to go past where I'm at now. I can add a little bit, but I'm pushing the limit. But one thing I've done this year already that is going to change the way some might look at lawn care is I am investing in another business. And I've started that business. I've filed it with the court system, and I am going the route of dumpster rentals.
Hmm.
I do own a dump trailer already. That's for the lawn care part, for mulch season, spreading rock, doing hauling off debris. I already had a dump trailer. So I'm wanting to, instead of putting all my eggs in one basket with the lawn care, with the soft scaping and everything all there, I'm trying to diversify where I'm reaching, where my income's coming in. Yeah, it's only two ways, but that's more than what it is with lawn care. Um, so I'm wanting to get that off the ground, get that rolling to where that can be a year-round income. Will I grow the lawn care business? Yes. Will I be happy if it grows? Yes. But I'd also be happy if it stays right where it's at, right where I'm in a good sweet spot. I have a lot of good clients. I pick up some, I lose some here and there. It's common over the years. But if my lawn care business stays the same level it's at, you know, pushing right around, pre-taxes, right around that six-figure mark, but I start a second business that is not connected to the lawn care besides in the first part of the name, then I have two businesses, both bringing in income, one seasonal, one year round, and I can grow in that avenue. And I do have a long-term goal. I don't know when this will happen because there's just a lot of it's a big thing, and that is actually storage rental. So storage facilities.
Hmm.
I know Spencer's Lawn Care, if they're into that now, and this was actually something that I wanted to do before I was even in lawn care. Geez, it was a idea I had. I was like, man, if I ever get a storage rental, that's so much a month for so many different units. That's something I wanted to do before lawn care was even, uh, you know, an idea. So now it's a long-term goal. But as far as lawn care related, I would, I obviously I want to grow. Everyone wants to grow, but if it stays where it's at and the dumpster rental part grows, then, which I know the dumpster runner will, I will be happy. I will be very blessed because, like I said, I'm diversifying the income. It's coming in from two different avenues, not just one avenue.
Yeah, I like that. I like the fact that what what your plans are, and you're comfortable in your lawn care business. Whether it grows or it doesn't grow, because a lot of us put a lot of pressure on ourselves as far as I've got to grow at 20%, 40% this year. I've got to get two more employees, two more trucks, five more employees, and so forth and so on. It's really refreshing to hear that you are comfortable with your business model, and you're looking at different opportunities and growing it, growing your income in a different with different streams. So that's really good. I enjoy that. I enjoy hearing that.
Yes, it's something, and I've honestly learned it a lot from podcasts. Listen to so many different podcasts. It's not always about how many employees you got or how many clients you got. It's about the way I honestly look at it, and I've been really doing that is, are your prices where they need to be? Are you charging correctly? When you have, would it be better to have, let's say, 150 clients priced at a decent price, or would it be better to have 85 to 90 clients priced at a higher price? More clients, more yards doesn't always mean more money. It if you don't have your prices right, or if it just maybe you're too big too quick, and you had to you buried yourself versus actually making money. So it's not always more beneficial to have more clients. It's normally more beneficial, and I've heard this spoken so many times on podcasts, to get the, let's say you're at 50 clients, but 10 of them are bad. So what if you just raise the prices on the 40 clients and let go of the 10, but you're making, and all those 40 accepted? So say, let me rephrase that. You have 50 clients, you raise the price on those 50 clients next year, and of those 50, only 10 of them say, that's too much, I can't afford that. But you don't pick up any more. You stay with the 40 you have, but now the 40 you have, you're making the same amount as you was with 50, but you're doing less work. So it's always best to make sure you get your prices right, and that's what I'm doing as a solo guy, trying to make sure my prices are at competitive level, yes, but at a level where I am making money, and also for future, I'm aiming to be at a price where I still am making money with an employee as well.
Yeah, great point, great point. And that all goes back to what you're saying as far as I've got 50 clients and I'm charging X amount. I raise my prices. Now I've got 40 clients because 10 dropped off, but I'm still making the same amount of money. That goes back to knowing your numbers and really having good margins, right? Because obviously, if you're doing the same, if you're doing 40 lawns compared to 50 lawns, but you're bringing the same amount of money at 40 lawns, then you obviously have much better margins, right? So that's something that I preach as far as looking at on a consistent basis and tweaking some of those things, because now you have an opportunity to pick up another 10 good lawns, and now you've not only increased the top line, right, the revenue that's coming in, but you've kept a good margin in place. So now you're making really good money, and that's where the route density comes in, the making sure that you're charging enough, and growing your business that way. So yeah, you make some really good points, and I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
So we're going to go ahead and wrap it. But before we do, I want to just throw it out there for you. Do you have any hobbies or anything that you want to share with us, or are you just straight mowing guy?
Well, I would say I am a fishing guy. I like to fish. Now
Nice.
my ability to fish is very limited due to I'm a mowing guy. So, the best time to fish, my father-in-law got me into fishing when I got married, 11 years ago. So he taught me how to fish, all that good stuff, and he loves crappie fishing. I like crappie fishing, catfishing. Catfishing's a little easier because you can fish at night, but I tend to miss out on crappie season because it's in the spring. But what also comes in spring is spring rush for the lawn care. And so I tend to, like, I get home at 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening. And I'm like, I don't feel like driving 30 minutes to go fish at this good fishing spot. Then if I catch fish, well, then I got to clean the fish. So I don't always go fishing. Another hobby I like to do is I'm a gamer. I play video games. That's my time to relax. That's my time to unwind. Um, and I do that, and that's because that's easy to do. You're sitting at the house. If it's raining, it doesn't matter. If it's I normally some mowing season. I don't get on till dark after kids are in bed. I've spent family time, but I do like the game as well. So.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, hey, Aaron, I really appreciate you joining me today. Lots of good information for people that are just looking to get into the business, or maybe they're already in the business, but they've got 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and they're going and thinking about going from part time to full time. Your story is really, really great for people that are looking at that. And again, I really appreciate you coming on, and I'd like to visit with you again at some point and get some more feedback from you as your business continues to grow.
Absolutely. I look forward to that. I appreciate you having me on. It's always good to be able to share your story, to share what you've done, how you went through it. And I know I've shared it several times, but it's, it different, you being a podcast host, you ask different questions, go through different avenues. So it's always nice to be able to share the story more than once, because it helps to get different information out. You tell it a different way, because I know there's plenty of people out there, and I'm not no one important by no means, but I know that my story can help others that maybe they're in the same boat I was. They're kind of in that same path direction that I was going, and they're like, well, they haven't heard that story. They haven't, maybe they haven't heard me talk somewhere else, but now they heard it. They're going to hear it here, and they're going to be like, oh, I can connect with how he is, the way he's going, the path that he started on to where he is now. And that's where I'd like to be. So I love being able to share my story, where I was to where I am now.
You bet. And Aaron, you are important to me, and I'm confident you're important to our audience. Wealth of information. And again, I really enjoyed it. Thank you again for sharing the story. And I do look forward to having you on again at some point.
Yes, sir. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. I hope this information was helpful to you. Please make sure to subscribe, like, and hit the bell button so you're notified of my future videos. See you next time, Lawn Care Pros.